Mute this. Make sure we are good to go. Had some technical difficulties earlier, but I think we're rocking and rolling. People, let me just refresh this. Today we are doing Q&A, question and answer. I've got a couple questions lined up that I actually got this week on either client calls or from guests that I wanted to go over. Comment down below your questions and we will go through hopefully all of them. I don't know how many are going to be actually asked, but let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. Let me let's go live here. All right, I think we're rolling. Yeah, I think we are rocking and rolling. Let me just triple check Instagram. Yep, I see that. That's rolling. Facebook. Do you guys see me in the Facebook group? Drop me a comment if you do see me. All right. It looks like we're rolling. All right. If we are not, it is what it is. Not much I can do here. All right, actually, we're good. So drop your comments down below. We'll get to the question. So without further ado, appreciate everybody for jumping on. It is freaking snowing in Charlotte, and I am pumped. I'm like a little 5-year-old running around. I'm gonna go take the e-bike out here after this, but we're gonna get through some Q&A. Really quickly, we'll do about 30 minutes and then we'll jump off here. Appreciate everybody for rocking and rolling with me. I see we got maybe 6 people live. Drop a comment down below. Curious where everybody is located. Let's see. Man, I haven't done one of these in a long time, so I'm just getting back in the swing of things. So all right. First question. Once again, drop your questions in the comments. Daryl, thank you for joining. If you have any questions regarding STRs, let me know. I will answer them live. So first question, is hosting still profitable in 2025? I actually got this question from somebody on one of my social medias. To answer your question, yes, it is, but it's not as easy as it used to be. What I mean by that is, 2021, 2022, you could throw up any listing whatsoever and be cash flow positive from day one, which is kind of crazy. That was the heyday. Now it's a lot more competitive, and it is a lot. The bar just continues to be raised a little bit more. So what I mean by that is, how do you still compete? How do you still make money on Airbnb? That is the question. So you can't just throw up a basic listing and then expect to make money nowadays. You can't have a 3-2 in the city that is fully renovated, that is walkable to things, and that be good enough. Depends on the market, but in Charlotte specifically, everybody's got a 3-2 near Uptown. It's not good enough nowadays. You got to be, I think the two biggest opportunities nowadays is competing on design and amenities. What I mean by that is, design is not really like the furniture specific, but like how cohesive is the room going together? Does the kitchen match the bedrooms? Do the bedrooms match the outdoor, the garage? Like, what is the flow of the property, and how does it actually how does it actually tie together? Bring snacks. What's up, Dean? Nashville, Dakota, Charlotte, Markdown Motors. Thanks for joining. So yes, it is still profitable in 2025, but you've got to stand out. The photos have to pop. iPhone photos are not cutting it anymore. This is actually tying into another one of the questions that I had here was, what are some common mistakes that new Airbnb hosts make? So that's a really, really good question. I think probably the biggest one is taking iPhone photos. So hire the photographer, pay 200, 250, whatever it is. Get that person that has done this before. And I'm not just talking some real estate photographer. It's got to be, try and get somebody that has actually been there, done that. What I mean by that is somebody that's done short-term rentals before, not just somebody that has shot a couple houses because their cousin sold a house one time. That's a huge difference. Let's see. I think in most markets, so we operate primarily in Charlotte, but we do consulting, coaching, pricing on a lot of different markets, like Myrtle Beach, Western North Carolina, Poconos, North Georgia mountains, places in Florida. Like I've seen a lot of markets. I think for me specifically, a general rule of thumb is don't buy a 2 or 3 bedroom, buy like a 4+ bedroom. The reason why I say that is most markets, 4+ bedrooms, there are just not enough of them. Like Charlotte specifically, I think there's like only 9% of the total Airbnbs out there are 4+ beds. Now, I'm not saying a 3-2 is not going to work, but it's got to be like super unique, super dialed in, like furnished. Like we've got one in Plaza Midwood that's a beautiful house, decorated very well, got hot tub, games, like a huge backyard. That still is good enough nowadays. But if you're coming into that, I would just try and naturally stand out. And I think the easiest way to do that is just by being able to host more people. Like for a 3-bed, you're looking at 6 to 8 guests. A 4-bed, you're 8 to 10, sometimes 12 if you got like some additional sleeping arrangements. So that's kind of my thoughts with, is it still profitable? Yes. So design, amenities, obviously location, but I think the size of the rental is pretty important as well. All right, Greg, thank you. We can hear you. Thanks for joining. Daryl, appreciate you. Matt, let's see. What's up, Caleb? Matt, appreciate. All right, so we got a question. Tell me the best way to get Monday through Thursday booked in a weekend market. So this, let me show this one. Matt, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I was on Matt's podcast a couple weeks ago. The co-host bros, appreciate you for having on. So we'll tell me the best way Monday through Thursday booked in a weekend market. Should I sell the extra day at a steep discount or discount it low and change minimum night stays? What you think? So Matt, most markets are weekend markets. Most of the bookings are surrounding Friday and Saturday night, right? Unless you're in like a super, like the properties in Poconos, I mean, we're like 98% booked year round. It's ridiculous. But you've got New York, which is 2 hours away. So people are just doing it to get out of the city. You're pulling from a huge metro market. So a little bit different scenario. I'm going to assume that that's not the case in most markets. So let's see, Monday to Thursday booked in a weekend market. Should I sell the extra day at a steep discount or discount it low and change the minimum night stays? So I actually just released a video, I think maybe yesterday. I like to do, I call it Airbnb Tetris. I've and one of my buddies here in Charlotte that is also a host. I'm stealing it from him, full credit. That's the first time I heard it, but get the bigger bookings first. So like land that 3-4 nighter first, and then you can be less strict on the front end or the back end of that booking. So if you get a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you can discount that Tuesday, Wednesday, and even make those 1 night minimums that Tuesday, Wednesday before, and even that like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of the following week. So let's say, you book your weekends at $250 a night and your weekdays are, $130 a night. I would be fine with giving like a 30% discount on those weekday nights and lowering it down to like a one night minimum. I know a lot of people don't like one night minimums because it's a higher likelihood of parties, damage, things like that. We've actually, knock on wood, we've been very successful with one night minimums because they're in and out in a couple hours. That if you vet them correctly, do a security deposit if you want, you can typically do those pretty well. So to answer your question, Matt, I would do both, honestly, and see what works better for your market. I would say, let's say you grab that 3 nights on the weekends, make that Tuesday, Wednesday before a one night minimum, and put like a 15 to 30% discount on those. So in this scenario, you book it at, let's say, 200, 250 for the weekend. That weekday is typically $130. Make it $99. The way that I view it is like, if you get one of those $99, you're still making $100 versus it just sitting vacant. So that's kind of my thought on this. Let me know if you have any follow-ups on that, Matt. I appreciate that you jumping in. Also, one thing to mention with Matt's question is you can automate this in Price Labs or Wheelhouse. In Price Labs, it's called adjacent before and after. So if you get a booking, like let's say that 3 or 4 nighter on the weekend, you can automatically change the days before to lower that to like one night minimum for the 2 days before and the 2 days after. And you can also add like a discount on top. So you're not having to manually adjust those. Price Labs just automatically does it. And for example, let's say that guest cancels, those rules are automatically wiped out as well. So it's not like you're going to get screwed if you book it 2 months out and then they cancel and you forgot to remove those fees. Let's see, Matt, great question. That's a very hard one. It's I did a full breakdown with a guy this week on this exact one, like setting up Price Labs and how to do it the right way. So I'll shoot me a DM if you want that training. I can send it to everybody. 3.2s are saturated in most markets. Amenities are key. Matt, appreciate it again. Yes, agreed. 3.2s. I think the 3.2s they're the investor special. That's what I always say. Any investor is going to buy a 3.2. I've just seen most. So like I would either go 4+ beds or studio 1 bed. So the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Everybody's kind of accumulating in the middle with these like 3.1.5, 3.2s. I would go the complete opposite. When they zig, you zag, right? So it's all a math equation. Like going back to the original question was, is it still profitable? The way to calculate that is what's the purchase price for revenue? On this like shorter end of the stick, your purchase price for a studio 1 bedroom is really low, but the revenue is still pretty high. The demand is still pretty high for that subset of the market. 3, 2 bed, 3 bedroom, your purchase price goes up pretty substantial, but your revenue doesn't go up enough to really match that. So you've got a bigger discrepancy of the purchase price of the investment compared to the revenue. Then once you jump into like a 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses, the bigger ones, yes, your purchase price goes up, but your revenue also skyrockets with it. So that's where it's all an equation of like purchase price compared to revenue potential. All right, let's see. Matt, thanks for the shout out. I figured I would jump in for a minute. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. If anybody else has any additional questions, drop them down below. I will be hopefully answering all of them tonight. Greg, I know we were talking earlier. If you have any specific questions on what you got set up, let me know. Love to help you out. So, all right, the next question I've got lined up, same thing, potential property that we're going to manage. The question came up, should I allow pets, right? Should I allow pets? I think it's an easy answer. Not everybody either agrees or sees kind of the logic behind it. The stat behind pets is, if if you have a pet, I'm speaking directly to you. You love your pet, right? You take them everywhere. You take them on the plane, like in the like Uber, wherever. You're definitely taking it to your Airbnb. But the stat is something like 33% of more travelers are traveling with pets. So a third of the travelers, I personally think that's pretty low. I think it's probably like 40 to 50% of people traveling with pets. So if you don't allow pets, you are automatically cutting out a third of the market that people are traveling. You're just saying, nope, don't want you. Now, on the flip side of this, I understand the hesitancy of doing pets, right? Higher risk. It's potential damage, like chewing, puppies, peeing everywhere. You got poop in the backyard. Like, it is a higher risk. Yes. We charge $150 for the stay for pets. Some hotels are charging like $80 a night per pet. It's getting kind of ridiculous, but higher risk. It's got to be offset with a little bit of cost savings, or a little bit of added revenue. So one thing that we always do is actually another question is get some type of accidental damage, like super hog, guest seat protection, safely. It's like an insurance policy for short-term rentals, but there's no deductible. They're not penalizing you for using it. Now, beware that some of them don't cover pets. What we have done in those scenarios is, if it doesn't cover pets, we just don't mention it was caused by a pet. Let's say something pees on the rug. It's like, okay, we needed steam cleaning for this guest damage rug. So that's kind of the way that we've been able to be successful with using those. Should I allow pets? So 33% more travelers. And then, I would charge 100, 150. I've seen some that are like 175 to $200 of pet fee that you can charge. I think last quarter we collected about 20 grand in strictly pet fees, which is a lot of money. Obviously we've got like a decent amount of properties, but there is a huge traveler base that is traveling that just sorts, pet friendly. Whenever you search in Airbnb, you can actually put like how many guests, how many pets. If you don't allow pets, then you're just not going to show up for the people that are looking for it. All right. So another question I got this week was, what's the best way to attract like bookings quickly? So this specific host had just started out. They just launched their first property, and I think it was a couple days before they didn't have any bookings in the first like 48 hours. They were kind of panicking, like, oh my gosh, I spent X amount on furniture. Like, how do we get bookings? How do we get bookings quickly? Right. I love the 20% first guest discount on Airbnb. Vrbo does it as well. Booking.com does it as well. So that just gives you like an additional boost in the SEO, in the algorithm, whenever people are searching for properties. So obviously you start out at zero reviews. Everybody starts out at zero. That's just them trying to get you some momentum. I always take that whenever we set up a new listing. Yes, I hear the haters in the comments saying 20% discount. I don't want to give 20% discount. Like, you will be kicking yourself when you're not getting booked in the next couple of weeks. The first 3 to 5 bookings are the easiest. Those are like super easy. The platforms all just promote you like crazy. Getting those first 5 bookings are super simple. The 5 to 10 are a lot harder. So the goal is to get the first 5 reviews as quickly as possible. Obviously 5 stars, because that's all we're after. And then from there, building that momentum from like review 5 or guest 5 to 10. And then once you kind of get like 10, 12, 15 guests under you, the algorithm starts to kind of learn what you're doing. And it continues to push you to other bookings. Let's see. Greg, got a question here. Greg, thanks for jumping on. Loving the content you're sharing with your expertise. Thinking I should hire a co-host in Knoxville versus doing it myself. What are some pros and cons of someone like you all co-hosting outside of Charlotte? So great question. We actually get this a lot. This is why we created our our what we call virtual co-hosting. So we got asked the question a ton of like, hey, can you help me get booked and, do all the stuff that you're talking about on these videos outside of Charlotte? We turned down so many deals years ago because it wasn't in the cards. We were like, no, like I don't want to. There's plenty of business in Charlotte. Like, don't really want to go into another market where I know nobody, don't know the market, I don't have any handyman, cleaners, yada yada yada. So we just pushed it all. So this is so we for the virtual co-hosting, we don't do anything on site. It's just the virtual aspect. The benefits are you get to partner with somebody we've pretty much seen every scenario. We know how to navigate all the support channels, air cover, like guests that stay over. Like there isn't really a scenario that we haven't seen. So you're just partnering with us. We don't do the on-site aspect, but we do all the technology, the pricing, we get you booked, we handle all the communication with the guest. I think it's a great idea, Greg. Because especially if you're just starting out, like there's so much to learn that you just don't know what you don't know, if that makes sense. You don't know that you need to have 15 pieces of evidence if somebody claims that you checked out late. Okay, we got ring footage, we got this, we got that, we got screenshots from the smart door lock that says you locked the door at 11:57, guest checkout was at 11 o'clock, 57 minutes ago. So we've already been through that and learned the hard way. So you're just kind of partnering with somebody who's been there, done that. Yes. So pros and cons. So I would say the downside of partnering with somebody out of the market is you don't know the market. Like you don't have those contacts. You don't have those handyman. You don't have those cleaners that you've, talked to 1,000 times. You're how they work. Like that's probably the biggest con of working with a virtual co-host. Now that's not to say that it's a bad idea by any means. But it just takes a little level of kind of a little bit more work to kind of build those relationships and get that off the ground. Definitely not impossible. We've got, I don't know, maybe 9 co-hosts in multiple different cities. So yeah, it's definitely not impossible. I mean, I know a lot of hosts in other markets that they've never seen their properties. It is possible for sure, but it adds a level of complexity. Greg, thank you for jumping on and asking that question. All right. Also, back to the original question, best ways to attract bookings quickly. Your first 5 photos need to be on freaking point. First 5 photos, have it on 5 different areas, like your best 5 rooms of the house. Don't have 5 photos of just the kitchen. You don't get an idea of what this property actually looks like. So it should be kind of spread out. First 5 photos, 5 different rooms. The best one, obviously the hero photo, the one that will stop people from scrolling. All right, next question. How do I determine the right price for my Airbnb? So this one's honestly pretty complicated. I don't think we'll be able to cover everything in one video. There's 2 kind of base level things. Enemy method, which is like going out and looking at the competition and see what they're priced at. That's like one easy free way to do it. Price Labs is another one. We love Price Labs. We use it for every property. The base price. There's a base. It's called base price. Help me pick my base price. And they do a pretty dang good job of like your location, your bed bath count. Is this like a luxury listing or like mid-scale or economy? Side note, most properties are the mid-scale to economy. Price Labs typically, and Wheelhouse and beyond, all these kind of softwares, typically they just overprice. I think most of these softwares out of the box, if you set them up, you're going to be overpriced by probably 20%. So we just kind of manually bring it down. So I'll typically start with either the economy or like that mid-scale level and kind of adjust it from there. Let's see. So those are the 2 best ways to really price your Airbnb. I think those are the easiest way. We can actually, let me see if kind of show you more on that enemy method. So let me kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. I'll share my screen here in one sec. All right, so let's take this listing for example. Let me share real quick. All right, so yeah, it looks like everybody can see this. All right, so what we can do, so this is Airbnb. This is a free way to just spot check some pricing. So we got a couple, it looks like we got some Verbo bookings on here, but let's say I'm trying to price this March 7th and 8th, right? You can just literally highlight these and then go to view similar listings. And you can toggle on. So you have to have at least 2 nights checked for this to show up, but you can come in here and see what are the booked listings. So it gives you a range. This one actually is 160 to 220 a night. We're at like it looks like 274. So you can go in here and just like spot check a lot of what's already been booked. Like for example, we're at 274. Obviously this one's not lakefront, so ignore that one. Probably not this 126 either. This 163 looks very underpriced. This 450, this is more like what we've got here. So this is lakefront. I don't know if that's lakefront or not, but just trying to kind of spot check, and you can go into the listings and see. So this one's 300. This one looks pretty similar. I think it looked like, yeah, it was lakefront. So kind of just like cherry pick the closest ones at a super high level. And, for us, like this one is booked at $300 a night. This one was booked at $450. This one, let's see if this is lakefront. You definitely want to compare lakefront to lakefront, because Lakeview and lakefront, huge difference. Come on. I'm assuming it's not lakefront if we're already on photo 20. Oh, wait. Oh, man. Why do you wait till photo 20 to show something waterfront? I don't understand it. The average guest looks at 13 photos. The first 13 photos is all they're looking at. That is all you have to do to impress this person. And the place is beautiful. Well done, like decorated well, renovated, but they just probably won't even get to the Lakeview spot. So that one is pretty close, definitely a smaller unit than what we've got. What's this one? Yeah, boom. There we go. There, that's a great photo right there. Game room. All right, love it. Love those string lights. Yeah, 5 different photos. This is a solid listing right here. Renovated. Yeah, this one booked out pretty inexpensive. So like for us, I kind of think we're probably in the right ballpark. 274. We got a 200. We got a 450. Got a 300. And then some of these other ones, well underpriced, $160 for that weekend. But it's just kind of getting used to what's booked. So this one, okay, $200, lakefront, beautiful looking spot. So great reviews. So we might be a little overpriced here. Let's look at unbooked. So this is probably where you see the majority of the ones that are probably overpriced. Yeah, 311, 375. I'm strictly looking at price here. So that's a quick way to just like spot check those weekends. So Yeah, we might be a little overpriced here. So maybe I think probably about 220 to 240 would probably get these two booked. We're still a couple couple weeks away, and then we also booked this Sunday to Thursday already. So this 2 nights, like I'm fine with being a little aggressive, and if we need to come down a week before, we definitely can. All right, Greg, another question. Appreciate you showing some love here. Does Price Labs update data daily? Given the slow season, it seems important to price competitively to get bookings. I assume you don't price drop too low to get guests you may not desire. Does Price Labs update data daily? Yes, they do. Automatically, they're pushing out your new prices every 12 hours. It's on autopilot. You can go in and manually update them and then push them out to the platforms. During the slow season, it seems very important to price competitively. Yes, 1,000%. That is, I would probably say, the most important thing in getting bookings and staying 80% occupied. I assume you don't want to price drop too low unless you get. Yes, I mean the lower the price, the higher likelihood of bad guest, right? It's all, man. It's this could be a whole nother video from top to bottom with vetting guests and what to do there. We'll typically, so in Airbnb specifically, you can toggle on a setting in instant booking that says something like only allow instant booking for hosts or for guests that other hosts recommend. So let's say host number one, guest stayed at this property. The host reviewed them, gave them, let's say they were a bad guest, maybe not a 5-star guest, maybe a 3-star guest. During that review process, the last question is, would you recommend this guest to other hosts? It's a yes or no, and nobody sees it except Airbnb. This is kind of the middle, the hack that helps other hosts. So if you're a host, please rate guests accurately. They're rating you accurately. If they suck as a guest, please tell them they suck because that helps the entire host community. So if that host said, no, I would not recommend this guest to other guests, then let's say on our listing, if we have that setting toggled on that says only accept highly recommended guests, then they will not be able to instant book that place, even if instant book is turned on. It's like instant book, check yes, and then a sub question that says like, if it's not recommended by another host, don't let them instant book. We have that on for every property, and it has probably saved us a ton of headache and a ton of damage. So I would definitely do that. I think that's probably step one in the guest vetting process. We've started doing like security deposits and some other things to potentially shield against that. Like actually an example yesterday, we had a guest that just payment method continued to fail over and over and over again, like 5, 6, 7 times. It just failed. So it was like, this is a huge red flag. Luckily we had like 2 weeks before they checked in. What we did was we were like, okay, we're going to need $1,000 security deposit because this card has failed over and over and over again. He ended up putting another card on file, which that card did not match the booking guests that we had or any of the guests that we are hosting. So that another red flag that who knows whose card this is. Half the battle's kind of shielding against fraud as well. So what we did, we just, okay, $1,000 security deposit, you're good to go. And then, I think he checks in maybe 2 weeks. I can't remember if we ended up canceling that reservation or we kept it, but the scenario that we were going to bring up was, hey, we need $1,000 security deposit because too many red flags. It was a new profile, which I don't specifically love. But yes, so there's a couple things on the listing that you can do to shield against bad guests. The pricing is another kind of aspect that you can do as well. One thing was, I was talking to somebody else today about the extra guest fee. So I've seen this work pretty well with bigger properties. Like let's say you can host 12 people, you start to charge an extra guest fee at like 9 person, 8 or 9 and up, 20, $30 a night for that. So that essentially shields people from booking, these bigger places, and they end up bringing max occupancy, which could potentially more damage, more parties, things like that for a cheaper price. So I've had like that extra guest fee shield us from a lot of those reservations as well. So hopefully that answers the question, Greg. One thing to also keep in mind is weekdays are a lot less risky than weeknights, if that makes sense. So I'm more than welcome to allow like a one-nighter on a Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. It's just nobody's partying on those days. The Friday night, Saturday night one-nighters, those are a lot riskier. So even further out, weeks to months, I'm still allowing like a 1 or 2 nighter during the week to kind of fill some of those gaps. Great question, Greg. All right, so let's see. We'll go through maybe one more and we'll jump off here. I'll kind of cherry pick one of these. What amenities should I provide to guests? I think this is an important one. I think some people don't really think about the amenities. I always say, like, if you're going to host 8 people, let's say your max occupancy is 8, make sure you have a table that seats 8. Like if you have to eat in shifts, that's just it's a recipe for bad reviews. So if you host 8 people, have a table or maybe 2 tables back to back that can host 8 people. This is where people are. This is why they're booking Airbnbs over hotels, right? You got a kitchen, you got a full, a yard, like you got space. Like this is why people are booking this versus 4 different hotel rooms that have no common space. So I would say whatever your max occupancy is, we do this on our pre-walkthrough whenever we take on new properties, is max occupancy. All right, you're hosting 8 people. Make sure you can seat 8 people. Same thing with like living room. Make sure you have enough seats for everybody to, as they're chilling out at night, watching TV with their family and friends, like they can all sit comfortably around that. Easier said than done on like these 12, 14, 16 guest properties. But for the smaller ones, it's definitely feasible. Another thing is what type of coffee maker. So I think another stat is like 30% of people don't drink coffee; they drink tea instead. So having tea at properties is a good thing. But the coffee maker is an important distinction. So like once again, the scenario. Let's say you have 10 guests. You're not going to want to do 10 different Keurigs, right? Like I love Keurig. I use it at least a couple times a week. But if I'm staying at an Airbnb with 10 of my friends, like we're not running 10 different Keurigs. Like I would rather just have a huge coffee pot and then maybe have to make 2 or 3 to kind of get through the day. So making sure, I typically think bigger properties, just do a coffee pot and just a normal like Mr. Coffee, $30, $40, like super cheap, but definitely worth it. The gold standard would be to have both. Have a coffee pot and Keurig cups. Restocking the Keurigs can get a little annoying. We actually use like the reusable Keurig that you put in it and then just put coffee grounds in it. It works just as good and saves a lot in extra expenses. All right. I think if anybody else has any questions, drop them below. If not, we'll wrap up. Greg, thank you. Great tips. Thanks for jumping in. We're going to be doing this weekly, and it's going to get a little more consistent with the content. So I appreciate everybody for jumping on. This replay will be available, but yeah, thank you everybody. This will be the first of many STR Q&A. All right, thanks.